Anthony Davis, 48 points, 17 rebounds, 4 steals, 3 blocks in just 50 minutes. Well, I shouldn't say just, but in 50 minutes leading into overtime of action. Norland, game winner, overtime, Knicks, MSG. Byron, what is keeping AD from dominating this league? Because, look, we see flashes like this. We know we're going to get the explosions, but the Pelicans thus far have not been able to take advantage of that into playoff runs.
Yeah, I don't know what's keeping them from being that type of guy every single night. I mean, 48 is probably unrealistic to think, but you got to give him a lot of credit because most great players, when they go to Madison Square Garden, they want to play their best.
They want to show out.
And he did last night. So I think 25 to 30 every single night is not unusual or something that's not realistic for AD. But I also think if he was in LA or Chicago or New York, everybody would be talking about him as one of the best players in this league and an MVP candidate one of these days, too.
Yeah, every time you see a performance like this from AD, it just prompts the question, are we going to see this in a meaningful game late May when when there's something on the line, and can the Pelicans...
But the Pelicans would have to get him to a meaningful game in late May. It's not like, oh, gee, can he do it under the spotlight? The spotlight has to, and him have to be in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, so it's almost impossible to look at the player without looking at the circumstance and the team. And they have Cousins now. They're going to have to make a decision on that. I mean, I love watching that team. I mean, watch that team. It is so much fun.
Well,
just because it's different than anything else the perimeter-oriented league is playing. But I just wonder, are they going to be able to assemble the pieces around this guy before he starts becoming the prize we're talking about on a jump set a year from now, 2 years from now, he wants out. And that's the concern I have.
Right. I mean, look, I would love to see him in those playoff opportunities. I would love to have him stay in New Orleans. I love the city of New Orleans. You coached in New Orleans. You know how meaningful that team is there.
It would be amazing to have a great team there.
But if it just after year after year after year can't happen, eventually you would want to say, hey, he's got to go somewhere else. I just don't want it to get to that point.
Yeah, and I think this year, Kevin's right, I think they're going to have some meaningful games this year because they are in the hunt. There's no doubt about it in the Western Conference with those two guys that they have, along with Drew Holiday, who's been playing extremely well as well. They got some players on that team. So there's going to be a point in time, March, April, where they're going to have some games that they have to win, and then we'll see if AD really shows up for those games.
We talked about the Clippers earlier in the show. They suddenly are kind of looking, if they decide they're going to go for it in the number 8 spot instead of dismantle the team, that's going to, I mean, there's a lot of intrigue at that part of the Western Conference.